Good morning, students. Myself, Mr. Vinod Thomre, and we are studying plant physiology. The next topic from plant physiology is stress physiology. Let's see the topic stress physiology. Before going to study the stress physiology, we must know what is stress. Any deviation in optimal condition of any factor essential for its growth will lead to aberrant change in physiological processes, and due to this plant body will experience tension, and this state referred as a plant stress. When plant feel any adverse effect on its growth and development, that means plant suffering from a special kind of stress. Reduction in growth, yield, and death of the plant or plant part, that is the symptoms of the stress which is caused to the plant. Stress may be caused due to two types of factor, biotic and abiotic factors. If you see the classification of stress is classified into two categories, that is, or two classes, that is abiotic stress and biotic stress. A abiotic stress, that is again divided into two kind of stresses, that is the stress which is causes due to the physical factor and the stress that is causes due to the chemical factor. On that, the stress is called physical stress and chemical stress, and the another class is biotic stress. Generally, the abiotic stress means the stress which is causes due to the non-living factors, that is the physical factor and chemical factors. In physical stress, the stress is may causes due to the drought and flooding condition. It may cause due to the temperature, light, radiation, winds. Or in case of chemical, it is causes due to the air pollution, heavy metals accumulation, use of pesticides, insecticide, toxins, soil pH, and alkalinity. And in case of biotic stress, the allelopathy, competition, disease, pest, human activities, that are the causes of biotic stress. Let's see one by one. Abiotic stress. Now, what is abiotic stress? Abiotic stress is the stress which adversely affect the growth and development of plant, and that is generally causes due to the non-living factor. So it is called as abiotic factor which causes the stress to the plant. So it is called abiotic stress. In that abiotic stress, the major stress occurs in plant is due to the action of water, because water is said to be the life of living organism. In case of plant, the water stress is causes due to the two ways, that means the availability of more water and the scarcity of water. The availability of excessive water, that is the flooding condition, or the inadequate, that is the availability of less water, that is drought condition, called the causes the stress which is called water stress. Now, what are the changes that are found in plant's growth due to the water stress are loss of turgor, that affect the rate of cell expansion and ultimately the cell size. Affects water stress also affects the translocation indirectly by altering the source to sink relationship for assimilates. It also changes in structure of macromolecules by removal of water. Then inhibition of cell expansion results in slowing of leaf expansion. Then due to the water stress, the dehydration of mesophyll cell occurs, and that inhibits the one of the important physiological process which is called photosynthesis. Then the second physiological factor which causes stress to the plant and adversely affect the growth and development of plant is salt stress. Salt stress affect plant adversely in two ways. High solute concentration in rooting medium creates water stress by decreasing osmotic potential and direct toxic effect of higher concentration of ions. On the basis of salt stress, the plants that are categorized into two groups, that is the halophytes and glycophytes. Halophytes can grow comfortably in saline soil with high salt concentration because they are having a special kind of adaptation so that they can easily survive in high salt concentration condition. Then another types of plants that are called glycophytes that cannot grow in the presence of high concentration of salt but manage to grow in saline condition by adopting some mechanism as the first mechanism accumulation of sugar in leaves, and the another one is compartmentalization, that is checked from reaching to photosynthetic part, that is due to the formation of compartment, the salt that cannot able to reach the part where the photosynthesis is takes place. Then the third physiological factor which adversely affect the growth and development of plant, and that's why we called it as a temperature stress. The factor is temperature, and the stress which is causes due to this factor is called temperature stress. This is divided into the effect of temperature that cause high temperature injury, chilling injury, and third one is freezing injury. The first stress that is causes due to the temperature due to high intensity of temperature called high temperature injury. Due to high temperature, the respiration rate in plant increases and photosynthetic rate decreases. Due to the tissue may deteriorate because the lack of life supporting energy. The denaturation and aggregation of protein occurs because we know that proteins, they are temperature sensitive and they work in a optimum temperature at a specific temperature. The one of the important enzyme which is involved in carbon fixation is the rubisco, that is ribulose 1,5 bisphosphate carboxylase when it shows carboxylation reaction, and ribulose 1,5 bisphosphate oxygenase which when shows oxygenation reaction, and the other enzyme of carbon metabolism are adversely affected. Change in the viscosity of the lipid component of the cell to a more fluid state, as we know that the lipid membrane the plasma membrane that is developed by the lipid bilayer and which is generally a fluid membrane. Due to rising temperature, the distance between two lipid is increases and that causes more fluidity into the membrane. High temperature reduces the membrane stability of various cellular membrane causing loss of physiological functions and cell integrity. Some plants that are having the adopting adaptations to such a kind of temperature and that have a special kind of mechanism that avoid the high temperature injury through they arrange their leaves in a specific angle so that the photons or the light that cannot directly strike on the part of leaves in a high intensity. Then in some plant the development of thick cuticle layer and leaf hairs they distract or they change the path of light, and because of this the light cannot directly strike on the leaves and that protect the photosystem from damage. The next type of injury which is causes due to the low temperature, which is called chilling injury. Injury which causes due to low but above 0 degree centigrade temperature is called chilling injury. These chilling temperature are too low for normal growth but not enough for ice formation. Roots are chilled, the plant may wilt. The chilling sensitive physiological functions include inhibition of photosynthesis, reduction of carbohydrate translocation, lower transpiration rate, inhibition of protein synthesis, and increased degradation of existing proteins. The next type of temperature injury is freezing injury. Occurs at temperature below the freezing point of water, that is the 0 degree Celsius, and primarily the aqueous phase in the apoplast freezes. At 0 degree Celsius there is a phase which is called transition in water from liquid to solid, and formation of crystal is takes place, and due to development of crystal in the intracellular spaces and cell walls, large polysaccharides and proteins facilitate ice crystals formation, which are called as ice nucleators. Then the next type of physical factor which causes the physical stress to the plant is called radiation, or it may called as a light stress. The alteration in light intensity, whether a deficit or excess, will result in a disruption of plant metabolic processes. Low light intensity below the compensation point lead to starvation, with carbohydrates used as a substrate for respiration first and the other sources of energy. And in high intensity light, which causes the photo damage to the plant and which affects the photosynthetic performance of plant, is depend upon the relationship between photoinhibition of photosynthesis and the degree of chlorophyll destruction. Then the next stress is nutrient stress, which is generally causes due to the lack of nutrients. If plant takes less than optimum quantity of any essential mineral, then the situation is referred as a deficiency, and more than optimum, then situation is referred as a toxicity of that mineral. In this case, if the excess of mineral nutrients if we supply to the plant, then plant causes the toxicity of such a kind of minerals. Deficiency or the nutrient stress of an element result from amount and concentration present in the soil, form in which they exist, or soil pH. Then the next kind of stress which is come into the category of physical stress is called wind stress. Excessive water loss through transpiration causes partial or complete closure of the stomata, may ensure may issue which will restrict the diffusion of carbon dioxide into the leaves. As a result, there will be a decrease in the rate of photosynthesis, growth and yield. Logging or top logging of plant. Then the next stress which is causes due to the chemical, uh, which is called the chemical stress, or the factors which are responsible for causing stress to the plant, that are chemical factors. In that, the chlorine, fluorides, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide and ozone, that are certain kind of chemical which causes the stress to the plant. Then the next factor which causes the stress to the plant, or the next class, is biotic stress. What is biotic stress? Biotic stress is the damage occurred to plant by other living organisms such as insect attack, pathogen attack, herbivores attack. That means the stress which is caused due to the living organisms. In that biotic stress, the plants that suffers from the attack of insect, bacteria, virus, herbivores or the other another factors. In such cases, plant suffers from certain kind of diseases and which adversely affect the growth and yield of that particular plant. So this is what about the biotic and abiotic stress which causes to the plant. Thank you.